Well, I was very fortunate to work with some of the real greats who started working with animals in nature, although they had done wonderful other work in captive situations as well with other animals. And one of them was Ken Norris. And when I first heard about Ken in the late 1960s, read some of his papers, um, he was an amazingly strong influence on my way of thinking about marine mammals, which was quite a primitive way of thinking about marine mammals, but indeed he was the most positive influence early on. And the other person was Roger Payne, who allowed me to go with my wife Melanie. We worked together very closely and have ever since. In 1972, allowed me to go to his beginning research project on southern right whales in Patagonia, Argentina. And both of those, I'd say, greats, great researchers with wonderful hypotheses and wonderful ways of testing hypotheses were strong influences. I remember, I have a little vignette here. I remember feeling particularly down, I think. The weather had been bad. We had been tracking, by putting little radios onto their dorsal fins, dusky dolphins for some time in 1973 and 4. I don't actually know which year it was. That we were doing this particular tracking while I was feeling quite down. And things hadn't been going so well. We had lost several radios. They had fallen off the animals. We had lost several animals out of range. I had problems with one of the directional antennas. We had little money. And I was sitting in a tent in the rain off a lighthouse, Punta Tehuelche lighthouse, writing a letter, feeling sorry for myself, to Ken Norris, telling him what we had done so far, what our problems were, and that we just weren't wresting data, information from the animals in very efficient or fast fashion. And the letter made its way to the States, and back then in several weeks, possibly as close as a month. And then a month after that, 2.5 months after I sent the letter, a message came back, typed in what I then, as a postdoc with him later on, came to know as his vintage manual typewriter that he had in the field with him all the time, with letters sort of askew going up and down. And it was the most, I still have, of course, that letter, most beautiful thing I think I've received to exhort Mel and me to stay the course, that we were learning things that we couldn't even imagine, that had not been known about the lives of these animals, that we should continue this line of non-invasive, relatively non-invasive work, and just providing a vignette or two from his own experiences of feeling down about research. And the guy didn't know me at all. He just did this. I then came to recognize later on that he did this for hundreds, possibly thousands of people who asked for help. Late at night, 2 or 3 in the morning, he'd be doing that typing. And that was a very powerful and very positive influence. And I hope in some small way I can do something like that for my students.